Hello, WPF. It's Lucky here with,
Nolan SR.
and this week we are going to be bringing you guys the midway power rankings for Gyarados League of WPF Season 7. Now, even though all of the Week 7 battles have actually taken place at this point, this is still going off just based after Week 6. And so whatever happened Week 7, whether it be that flurry of trades that came by, or wins or losses by people that may have pushed them up or down, the power rankings, we're not taking that into account at all at this point. This is just up to Week 6.
Yeah, I didn't want to go through and update all your sprites with all those damn trades. God damn it, you guys.
So Week 9 will be fun.
Week 9 will be a ton of fun, yeah.
But with that, let's get into the rankings. To no one's surprise, we have you and the Wooloo Wooloos at number 1 as the only undefeated team left. Luckily, you won last week, so we didn't have to mess around with all of the crazy.
Oh yeah,
a bunch of people at
5-1 teams.
5-1.
Yeah.
So have a very clear number 1. You're gonna stay there until you lose, and maybe even, depending on the matter of the loss, if it's really close against another one-loss team, you might stay if you don't go on a slide. So
yeah, and I mean, realistically, the only way I'm losing my division is if I lose to you in that Week 12. So really, you are the only person who can knock me really off of this spot, I think.
And if
so we'll see.
Yeah, and then it comes down to differential, if that would be the only loss to each of us. But yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you're almost a lock for playoffs at this point at 6-0. Like, I mean, you'd have to lose literally every single game going forward, I think. So
yeah, we'd have to do the math on it to see if I'm statistically guaranteed. But I think maybe after next week we'll see where that playoff picture lies.
All right. Number 2, we have the Big L and the Midwest Mawwiles.
Now, here's the leader of the Brains division, which is, obviously that's why he's number 2. Good 5-1 record, huge plus 16 differential. Also, this week we're starting to do MVPs for each team. So for me...
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that for you.
Yeah. It was Mega Garchomp, although I don't think that's accurate anymore. And now for Big L, we're back his Mega Lopunny, which he's just been putting in work with that thing.
Yep, not really surprising. Either for your Mega Garchomp or Mega Lopunny, those are pretty good ones you'd expect to be the kill leader. Now, he said that overall, team-wise for himself, he thinks Serena's more of the MVP, which may be the case for actually most valuable for him, but for our MVPs, we just went by basically their kill leader, and Lopunny's been putting in work. So yeah, he is leading his division.
Leading his conference also.
Leading the conference also. So he has the best shot at the number 1 seed in that conference, and controls his destiny for that.
So good on you, Big L.
Number 3, we have myself.
Yeah. Now this was a fun one to have. We're kind of being conceded here. We're both number 1 and number 3 respectively, which is kind of fun. Your MVP really is weird, considering it's also the league MVP in Suicune. What's its differential right now with plus 18?
It is, after Week 6, it was plus 13, I believe, 15-2, which I think, so it is surprising. I think the case is that because I've got so much power at the top end, teams maybe have prepped for that more often, and then Suicune's just come in and they've forgot to prep for it. I feel a little bit like the San Diego Padres last year, where they're the second best record in the NL, but just happened to play in the division as the best record in the league with the Dodgers. So that's fun.
Yeah, that's kind of why you're here. Yeah.
But yeah, the reason I'm at 3 instead of 2 is that it would be harder for me to grab the number 1 seed in the conference for playoffs going forward, whereas Big L, we have the same record, but he has the number 1 seed in his own destiny at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving on. Number 4, we have Coach T4U and his Boston Red Sox. Finally ended up losing. Thank God, because he was number 1. So.
Yep. Woohoo,
I'm also.
That was to me. So.
That was to you, yeah. That was a good match too. Really surprised here with his MVP. That what we picked. Because I would have seen, just looking at his team, Urshifu is usually MVP on any team it's on. But Moltres.
Well, so spoilers for Week 7, that it does change. Urshifu does come in Week 7 and end up getting 1 more kill than Moltres. But again, these are Week 6 rankings, so
yes.
As of Week 6, his MVP is Moltres.
It really just goes to show you how good of an item Heavy Duty Boots is. Because, Moltres, how many years was it down in like NU or like PU? And now it's like a good, like, it's a threat, actually.
Yeah. And so with how the conference works out, me at 3 and Boston at 4, unless any of us go on like an extreme losing streak, just how the conferences pull out, we're pretty safe for playoffs. I think those are going to be the top 3 teams, and really the fight we're in Braun, right?
Yes.
The fight in the Braun conference is going to be for that 4th seed, most likely. And so in these rankings, you've probably heard us talk about, we're incorporating a little bit more at this point of playoff chances because we're halfway through and we've seen trends. And so that's why, we have some of these are where they are, just because you're at this point, without being a lock, because there's no teams locked in yet, these are about as close as you can get at this point in the season to a lock.
Exactly, yeah.
So he made 1 free agent change, and I think we forgot to talk about that with mine. I ended up dropping Claydol for Mr. Rhyme, and then as soon as that Claydol hit up the free agent market, Boston picked it up, which I think is a great addition for his team.
Yeah, definitely picks up that hazard control there with a rapid spin.
That, and his team I remember when prepping for it, his team was extremely weak to the Edgequake combination, and not just like hitting neutrally, like Edgequake hit the majority of his team super effectively, and Claydol resists that, so that helps his team out a lot.
Yeah, it'll be definitely a very good defensive pivot for him going forward.
Seeing that Claydol on his team makes me think I should have kept it around on mine just to prevent it from landing in his hands. But well.
I wish you would have. I wish you would have kept it. Okay, moving on. Number 5, we have Coach Big Sean with his Tennessee Red Gyarados.
Big Shane.
Big Skahoen. His MVP, again, to no one's surprise here, Excadrill, which is always just such a threat, especially when you pair it with sand like he did, and he's been using it very well in the entire season.
The only surprise on why it is his MVP is that his MVP is not Mega Gyarados.
Yeah, knowing him, certainly, yeah. He has, I think he's in the division where everyone's very close, so I don't think he's quite locked his division yet.
No.
But I think he's on top of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because he has the head-to-head versus ASDF, and Pardis, who was tied after Week 3, ended up beating him, but he's now down at 3-3. So now with division play, obviously you can split that division now. But his other loss, and I don't know about the other ones, but his other loss I know was an out-of-conference loss to you. So that doesn't...
it doesn't factor quite as highly. Yeah.
And also, that's why he's so high, is when you lose to the number 1 seed, like, you're expected to do that in a way. So you don't really hold that against someone if they lose to someone that's ranked a lot, like, so high.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, he's been doing good. No trades as of yet. Yeah, we'll see what he does going into week 9.
All
If he
right.
can finally clinch up the division.
Speaking of ASDF and the Sydney Thunderous, we have him at rank 6. His MVP is Dragapult.
And again, the main reason he's here is because he lost that head-to-head versus Big Skahoan. He did make some trades. He dropped Arcanine, Deancey, and Quillfish, and added Galarian Weezing, Talonflame, and Gothorita.
Yeah,
Which...
so this is because he used all 3 especially, and there's some things. This is something to dive in deep a little bit more. I don't know how I feel about the trades. Like, getting Galarian Weezing is great. I felt like in post-round, I felt like Arcanine was kind of like an integral part, pretty good for his team, and
his Fire Water Grass car I think is a lot worse now. Talonflame definitely not nearly as bulky as an Arcanine is, and I don't know that it has the utility to really replace it. And then Gothorita, we did see it have that one match where it was just the most annoying thing, with the charm fake tear set, I think.
Mm-hmm.
God, I hope that I never see that.
What did he drop? What was his tier 5 before?
Is that Quillfish? Which I don't know about that. Quillfish is a great value pick up tier 5, getting
and then
Toxic Spikes.
So what was the other one he dropped?
Diancie.
Okay, I was wondering if he picked up a fairy. So he did upgrade his fairy, which is good.
Yep. Yeah, and again, Galarian Weezing, great defensive pivot. A lot of utility, gets Defog, Misty Surge, Will-O-Wisp.
Still does get the Toxic Spikes from that he would have possibly been losing from Quillfish, so that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall mixed feelings about the trades.
Yeah, I really don't think Gothorita fits the playstyle, but he did use it once very well, so I don't know.
All right, going into rank 7, we have Pardus and the Vegas Golden Magnemites. So hey, not much is, even though there's a little bit more clarity, record rise, he's one more loss than the other 2 in his division. They are still back to back to back in our power rankings, and I think that just shows how strong of a division that is.
Division they are. Yeah. So he has a decent shot here of making wild card. I think that's what he really has to go for, because he's going up against literally the 2 other guys in his division are probably going to make playoffs. So he's trying to fight that out versus our next place person to try to get that wild card seed.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I can't remember who he played in his 2 out of division from the other division in his conference, but I know so far his out of conference opponent was me, and Big Shane
Boston
from earlier was yours. Well, Boston is week 7.
Oh, sorry. Yes, we don't know what happened in that match.
But I know he's had a bit of a rough schedule as well, and so I mean, granted, a lot of people have had a rough schedule because the competition is pretty high, but I do know that if he gets a couple quote easier matches, that could make a difference as well.
Yeah, really turn that around, really try to clinch that wildcard seed. Yeah, I agree.
His MVP is Raikou, which it's a good bond. I'm a little bit surprised. If I would have picked maybe Rillaboom or Mega Aerodactyl, but...
Dude, I don't know. Spectre is up there too. Granted, I don't know that he was using it the best, which, spoilers, he doesn't have it anymore. But yeah,
it's a lot easier to prep for in League, where you can just throw a bulky dark or a bulky normal on a team.
definitely, yeah.
Okay. Going into rank 9, we have
No?
the Atlanta Beat Drill.
Or
Oh,
did I have this? Ooh, I didn't change that. Whoopsies.
rank 8.
Rank 8.
we we have the Atlanta Beat Drills and Coach Be Real. Now, he technically is ahead of Pardis so far because his division record in the tiebreaker is better because he ended up coming out of the division with a 3-0 record. But as you can see from his record, he has now dropped 3 straight games, and I think his level of play the last 3 games has really dropped off a bit, so he's losing a bit of momentum going forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole story here, just him losing momentum. Obviously, fantastic divisional play. Getting outside of it just has hurt him so much, because I don't think he's, prepping as much. It just feels like, certainly, with those divisional teams, you'll see him again, so you can prep. You should prep much harder. I just don't know what's happening right here.
I think he's the MVP being Pelipper is surprising.
Definitely, yeah. Not a sweeper by any means.
I think he may be struggling a bit to use Mega Swampert.
Or maybe just rain in general.
Yeah.
I think that may be, yeah.
That could be it. So, we'll see. I mean, if he can pick up his momentum again, he has a pretty good shot at making the wild card. But he really needs to stop his slide because, I mean, if you get on a big losing streak, that can make you lose momentum and lose motivation pretty quickly, and then it just goes downhill from there.
Definitely, yeah. Losing motivation, not wanting to prep for your matches, that's usually what the downfall of most people is in Draft League.
Yep. All right, so going on to the real rank 9.
We have Coach Zelda and the Warsaw Rapidash, who have not moved since 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So their MVP is Galarian Zapdos, which is good because he took that first overall.
You would expect, yeah, first overall pick, you would want that to be your Mon, right? So, yeah, no surprises there. He has a decent shot at making wild card. He's in our division, correct?
No, he's in our conference, division.
Yes.
So that's why we actually have him above a team who's 3-3 right now, and the reason for that is because how currently the Brawn Conference works out. You've got you, myself, and T4U, the 3 big teams at the top, having the 3 of us having a combined loss total of 2, and then which the 2 losses were to each other.
Yeah.
And then Warsaw is actually the next closest in our conference. So that's another
one of the.
So that's another reason why when I said earlier that the top 3 are pretty close to, like, as close you can be to clinching already, is like Boston and I have a 3-game lead on the next closest record. But because the records are lower at the bottom, even at a 2-4 record, and I think Warsaw has the best division record out of the rest of them, which is the first tiebreaker. They have the best shot at getting that 4th slot.
Yeah, but again though, he's still only at 2-4. It's certainly very possible for someone to come up, start getting some wins, and really take that wild card seed from him. It would not be that difficult at all, I'd say.
Yeah. All right.
So he's in a very fragile place.
Going on to rank 10, we have Duck and the Rochester Rebuke. His MVP is Grimmsnarl.
Which is surprising because that's an ad he just made. He ended up dropping Aromatisse and Mudsdale. Or was that last week? That might have been.
I think that was for our quarter season, because I remember talking about the weirdness of having two Sunsetters on the same team.
Yes, that is correct. Yes. So the real story is here. He has a pretty bad divisional record. I think he went 1-2, if I'm not mistaken, and that's really holding back his wildcard chances in his league or in his conference.
And that conference is very hard fought, and so it will be much more difficult for Rochester to make playoffs than, say, Warsaw, who, like we said, has a worse record but a better chance at playoffs.
Yes. So we'll see what he does going forward here. He does have to get some wins, most likely divisional wins, to advance to that wildcard seed. So I wish him luck.
All right. Rank 11, we have Mitty and the Collingwood Corviknight.
Now he made some trades here. So he dropped Mega Sharpedo, Tyranitar, and Bronzong, picking up Celesteela, Sneasel, and Mega T-Tar. What do you think about those?
So getting Celesteela is scary. I don't know about his T-Tar from Mega T-Tar, just because his team is going in. He got it with Sand in mind with the Dracozolt and Landorus, although I don't think Landorus has clicked a move while Sand is up yet. But still, the problem with having your Mega as your weather setter, and I have a little bit of that issue. I've only tried to use it once, and granted, I didn't necessarily pick that specifically for the weather, where this one was drafted more around the weather. But when you switch out, at the very most, you're getting 4 turns of weather, and if you wanted to do any sort of setup or like a sub or anything like that, then you're down to 3. If you don't attack right on your first move, you're down to 3. Now, granted, Dracozolt just clicks buttons on his first attack and doesn't change moves, but
again, he doesn't need to run that Sand set. He could always run the Scarf Hustle set. Try to get those Bolt Beaks off.
What did he drop to pick up Sneasel again?
He dropped Bronzong.
Okay, that's interesting. I think Celesteela made up for that. He has plenty of rockers, so he's not really using that from Bronzong.
And
so
Celesteela is, I think, a better steel type than Bronzong is.
Yes, overall, and that's, I think, why I'm a little bit more okay with him picking up Mega T-Tar, is because that gave him the ability to pick up Celesteela. I think Sand aside, Mega T-Tar Celesteela is a much scarier combination than regular T-Tar and
a
Bronzong.
Sharpedo.
Yeah.
Mega Sharpedo. Yeah, that Mega wasn't doing anything, if we're being honest. So good of him to get rid of it.
So yeah, we really enjoy this team's trades. He does have only a 1-2 division record and a head-to-head loss to Warsaw right now, and so that's why he's a little bit behind in the rankings, because he might have has a bit harder of a time reaching playoffs. Although I do believe he has had a very difficult schedule. So.
Yes. Okay. Moving on next, we have Coach JK41 and his route to Rattata.
Another one at 2 and 4. So that's what? 3 teams at 2 and 4 tied, and really the difference is just their divisional record. So in the case, which is the first tiebreaker. So in the case of JK being 0 and 3, division play really puts a damper on his tiebreaker hopes.
Yeah, and this is going to sound like I'm in a household, but he is in one of the hardest divisions, being in our division.
Yeah, he's still going to play each of us again. So
yeah. So he's really going to have to make those, both his out of conference and his 2 remaining conference battles, count for him if he wants to have a shot coming up here at making that wild card seed.
Now, did he end up going 0-4, or did he get his first win in week 4? Do you remember?
He started 0-3, so he's picked up another loss and 2 wins since then.
But what order did it come in? I'm not that it's super important, but if he's gone on...
No, week 4 he got a win.
Okay. So I mean, still bringing momentum up from his slow start, but...
Yeah, he lost week 6. So.
Okay. I would like to see him make trades, which I think he does in week 7, so we'll talk about those week 9. But yeah.
I'm sure you're happy with his MVP.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah. Just comes in, clicks Accelerock, good mod.
All right. Rank 13, we have Mario and his Happy Valley Hariyamas. Now, him, I actually think he has been playing better lately, because actually he's gone on a 2-game win streak, and I think his week 4 was like a Hacks Fest. So he's actually been playing better lately than the other 2 and 4 teams ahead of him. However, because of the conference, division and his conference, it's going to be a lot harder for him to make playoffs. Now, granted, obviously at this point, like, he goes on a huge streak, 8-4, great for playoffs, but he does have to go on and win almost every game going forward now, I think. So it's a much more difficult route uphill, although his play has been much improved the last couple weeks, and he's been picking up strong, but I think his slow start may have hurt him a bit.
Yes. He did make some trades in between since we last saw him. He dropped Lapras, Mega Tyranitar, and Cinderace, and picked up Arcanine, Gigalith, and Mega Sceptile. So obviously I think that's a downgrade at the Mega position. But I think him picking up Gigalith and having him have a proper Sand Setter is really going to help him push that Dragovich to even higher levels, I think.
Yeah, which is his MVP.
Which is his MVP, yeah.
Which is expected. And I think that was the main goal of the trades. I'm not sure if Mega Sceptile was necessarily the best Mega choice. I think there was some better in Mega Tier 2 still, like Mega Altaria, for instance. I know that would double up on typing, but that's not the worst in the world, especially since Sceptile is also doubling up on 2 types he already has.
Mm-hmm. Two types.
And I'm really not sure how I feel about Arcanine specifically in the Sun. I mean, on its own, it's a great Pokemon. Sand. That's a great Pokemon, and honestly one of my favorites to use in draft. But you losing some of its versatility as a defensive mon because Morning Sun only heals 1/3 up in the sand.
That being said, though, I don't know that when you compare it to his previous fire type, the Cinderace, I don't really think that it's that huge a downgrade. Yes, it's a little less offensive, but I think he does gain a lot more in defense.
Right.
Picking up that Arcanine. So I honestly don't hate this pick. I kind of like it, actually. Even with the sand nerf that it gets.
This if it wasn't for the sand nerf, I would definitely like it better. I just don't know how much he'll be able to use it to its full defensive capabilities. But maybe he just wanted to use it offensive anyways for the most part and just have Intimidate there. So
it definitely could be that way.
All right, going on to rank 14, have Psychofool and the Bologna Briones.
Yeah, I think that's how you say it. So this is the other guy in our division, Rosari again. He made some other trades as well here. So he dropped the Celesteela and the Poltegeist and picked up Cinderace and Stakataka. I don't know how I feel about these.
Stakataka's good. I think Stakataka helps his Trick Room mode a lot more.
Sure. And I think it's definitely an upgrade over Poltegeist.
For sure. And Cinderace, I think, is useful for the speed, so he doesn't necessarily have to fully rely on Trick Room if he doesn't want to, and he doesn't have to just rely on Jolteon, which is his MVP. But he doesn't have to just rely on that. That being said, he already had Incineroar as a fire type. And so other than the speed, Cinderace isn't adding a lot to what he already had.
It is adding hazard control, which I had mentioned previously was missing. Gets that fun court change ability.
Oh, right, because before he only had Defog on Lando T unless he happened to bounce back hazards with Hatterene.
Yes. So, in that sense, it's a good pick. But he gave up Celesteela, which I think was probably his best mon.
Yeah, it definitely was. Yeah, I don't know. Very interesting. Even with Cinderace and the removal, it's still not necessarily the best. Like, you still don't always want to run court change, but I do think it makes his team a little bit more versatile and helps his Trick Room mode get even better and his out of Trick Room mode get better, so his speed is better, but still not quite sure about the pick.
Yeah.
And so rank 15, we have Bucks and the Bronx Blastoise. Now, Zycofool was above Bronx Blastoise because Zycofool, even at 1-5, is only one game behind the rest of I don't know about tiebreakers for sure, but as far as just record-wise, he's only one game out of the 4th seed in his conference, whereas Bucks is pretty far down. He would have to win every game the rest of the way, and even then, I'm not sure if that would be good enough for playoffs.
Well, I'm sure if he won every game out, enough people would lose. I think he'd be fine. But still, based on his record right now, I don't see him winning out. His MVP here is Latias, which, if you know anything about the future, is very surprising that was his MVP.
Yeah. Now, he could still play spoiler going forward, because, I mean, it still is an offensive team that could potentially give some headaches, but...
Definitely, yeah. He could definitely be ruining some people's dreams here.
But really, he has to hope that he can go on a giant win streak at this point. So...
Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
And lastly, we have Russia's No Retreat and Twitch, who unfortunately still has not picked up a victory yet on the season.
And still, not to my knowledge, has made any trades. Which I think, if you're in this position as a coach, you almost have to. You have to switch something up, because it's not working.
Yeah. His MVP is Golurk, which is really surprising that your team MVP is a tier 5.
A tier 5, yeah.
Which,
to be fair, this does seem like the mon that he's using by far the best of all the mons on his team.
That's true.
So maybe that's just his play style, and if that is, I don't know what that play style is, but maybe you should lean more into it with your other picks. Again, his team's we've mentioned this in previous, his team's kind of all over the place. It doesn't really have a cohesive strategy behind it.
Yeah. Surprisingly, even at 0-6, he's not out of the running for playoffs yet, just because, as we've mentioned plenty of times on this video, the 4th spot in the Braun Conference is up for grabs.
Yes. So again, he could go and just win out, and take that wildcard speed. I think that would be one of the greatest moments in like Pokemon if that actually happens.
I think 6-6 would probably be a good enough record to get that.
I'd imagine it would, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised even if a 5-7 gets it at this point, but
Yeah, just based on how top heavy our division is, or our conference is, yeah.
yep. So those are the rankings for this week. We'll show a summary slide again at the end. Number 1, the Wooloo Wooloos. Number 2, we have the Midwest Mawiles. Number 3 is the Minnesota Lycanrocs. Number 4 is the Boston Red Sox. 5, Tennessee Red Gyarados. 6, Sydney Thunderous. 7, Vegas Gold Magnemites. 8, the Atlanta Beedrill. 9, Warsaw Rapidash. 10, Rochester Reboot. 11, Collingwood Corviknights. 12, Route 2 Rattata. 13, the Happy Valley Hariyamas. 14, the Bologna Briones. 15 is the Bronx Blastoise, and 16 is Russia's No Retreat. So we will see you guys in 3 weeks when we do our 3/4 of the season power rankings, and that time we'll be able to discuss all of the craze of trades that happened week 7, as well as by then we will have a fairly clear playoff picture that we'll be able to start going more into detail on the playoff picture and possible matchups that might happen then.
So we'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in.
Later.
Bye.